The rain hammered the Chicago skyline like 1,000 unanswered prayers, turning the glass towers into smeared mirrors of regret. I grabbed his collar, pulling him close under the flickering neon of that godforsaken rooftop bar, my voice cracking like thunder. "William, I've loved you since the day you sketched that impossible bridge. Every line of it was you, bending the world to your will." His eyes, those deep hazel pools I drowned in for months, widened, not with joy, but something sharper, like recognition laced with pity. And then he smiled, that crooked half-grin I knew so well, but as his sleeve rode up in the struggle, the faint scar on his wrist caught the light, a jagged reminder from a childhood accident William had never had. "My name's Jordan Hale, and up until that soaked, electric night on the windy city's edge, I thought I had life figured out." 28. Junior editor at a scrappy architecture mag called Skyline Echoes, scraping by in a Wicker Park walk-up that smelled faintly of damp brick and unfulfilled dreams. Chicago suited me, raw, unapologetic, a city that chewed you up and spat you out with a kiss. I'd moved here 5 years back from some podunk Ohio town, chasing the pulse of something bigger than cornfields and quiet Sundays. Gay as a summer rainbow, but I'd learned early to keep my colors muted. Small-town whispers had a way of turning into shouts. William Ellis crashed into my world like a blueprint come to life. It was last spring, at the AIA Gala in the Loop, tuxedos and tiny hors d'oeuvres, the kind of event where egos loomed larger than the models of skyscrapers on display. I was nursing a gin and tonic, dodging small talk with mid-level drafters, when he took the stage. Tall, lean as a steel beam, with that mop of chestnut hair falling just so over his forehead. "Architecture isn't about bricks and mortar," he said, voice smooth as Lake Michigan on a calm day. "It's about bridging the gaps we can't see, the ones in our hearts, our histories." The crowd ate it up. I swear, my knees went weak. He was unveiling his firm's latest, the Helix Bridge, a spiraling pedestrian span over the Chicago River, twisting like DNA, meant to symbolize connection in a fractured city. After his talk, I cornered him by the dessert table, fumbling my business card like a kid with a crush. "That was revolutionary," I stammered. "The way you wove in the indigenous patterns. It's like the bridge is alive." He turned, those hazel eyes locking on mine, and for a second, the room blurred. "Jordan Hale? Skyline Echoes? I've read your pieces. That take on sustainable retrofits? Spot on." We talked for hours, well, until the valets started herding us out. He was 32, lead architect at Ellis and Stone, born and bred in the South Side, with a laugh that rumbled low like distant L trains. Divorced? No, never married. Out, subtly, to those who looked close. We exchanged numbers, and just like that, the bridge between us began to build. Our first coffee was at a hole-in-the-wall in Logan Square, the kind with mismatched mugs and baristas who didn't bat an eye at two guys sharing a table. He sketched on a napkin while we talked, lazy loops of a future project, a community center for at-risk youth. "I want it to feel like home," he said, "not some sterile box." I watched his hands, long-fingered and precise, and felt that familiar ache, the one that said this could be real. Dates blurred into weeks, walks along the lakefront at dawn, where he'd point out the hidden geometries in the waves, late nights at his Lincoln Park loft, poring over blueprints spread across his drafting table like forbidden maps. His place was all exposed brick and salvaged wood, mid-century modern with a soul, floor-to-ceiling windows framing the glittering chaos of the city. We'd cook, badly, pasta that stuck to the pot, wine that went straight to our heads, and end up tangled on his couch, kisses tasting of garlic and possibility. But William was guarded, a fortress wrapped in charm. He'd dodge questions about family, pivot to shop talk or some half-remembered poem by Gwendolyn Brooks. Chicago's poetry is in the struggle, he'd say, tracing a finger down my arm. I didn't push. Love's not a deposition. Still, there were moments, his phone buzzing with a blocked caller, the way he'd tense when certain South Side streets came up. I filled in the blanks with my own hopes, a man healing from old wounds, ready to build something new with me. Summer hit like a heat wave, sticky and insistent. We stole weekends up to his family's cabin in Door County, Wisconsin, pine-scented escapes where the world narrowed to just us. There, under star-pricked skies, he'd open up a fraction, about losing his mom to cancer when he was 12, how architecture became his anchor. Dad checked out after that, he murmured one night, fireflies dancing around us. Left me and Danny to fend for ourselves. Danny? I filed it away, a loose thread. Those trips were magic. Hikes through birch groves, skinny dipping in the cold bay, his body against mine like a revelation. He was gentle, reverent, hands mapping me like one of his designs, whispering my name like it was the keystone to his arch. By fall, I was in deep. Leaves turned the parks to fire, and so did my heart. We'd argue over nothing. His endless hours at the firm, my jealousy of the city that claimed so much of him, and make up with a fierceness that left us breathless. You're my constant, he'd say, forehead to mine. In this variable mess, I believed him. God, how I believed him. Which brings me back to that rooftop, November's chill biting through our coats. The helix was breaking ground soon, a milestone, and I dragged him up to the bar atop the Monadnock building for a pre-celebration. The city sprawled below, a jagged poem of light and shadow. 3 gins in. The words tumbled out. I couldn't hold them anymore. William Ellis, you beautiful bastard. I love you. Not the architect. Not the visionary. You. All of you. His face, our faces inches apart, shifted, that scar glinting like a betrayal. Jordan, he breathed, but his voice hitched. Wrong timbre, a shade deeper. I yanked back, heart slamming. The scar. William had a freckle cluster on his wrist. Not this. This was. Oh God. You're not him, I whispered, rain mixing with the hot sting in my eyes. He, Daniel, it had to be, reached for me, but I staggered back. Who the hell are you? The world tilted, bridges crumbling before they'd even been built. Daniel Ellis didn't flinch. He stood there, rain sluicing down his face, that scar a stark white line against his soaked sleeve. Jordan, wait, it's not what you think. His voice was William's echo, but rougher, like gravel under tires. Twins. Identical down to the dimple in their chins, but this one carried the weight of streets in his posture, a subtle swagger William lacked. I laughed, bitter and broken, the sound swallowed by the storm. Not what I think. I just poured my soul out to a stranger. To you. He stepped closer, hands up like I was a spooked horse. I'm Daniel, Will's brother. He asked me to cover for him tonight, some last-minute crisis at the site. I didn't know. Shit, I didn't expect this. Crisis, My mind reeled, replaying the last call from William. Running late, babe. Helix drama. I'd assumed overtime, not this doppelganger deception. Daniel's eyes, same hazel, but flecked with gold like caution signs, searched mine. He talks about you all the time. Jordan this, Jordan that. The guy who sees the poetry in rebar. A ghost of a smile, but it didn't reach. Close. Differences sharpened. Daniel's jaw shadowed with perpetual stubble. A tattoo peeking from his collar. Chicago skyline in ink. Bold and unapologetic. William was clean lines. Daniel, raw edges. I turned. Boots slipping on the wet gravel. Needing air that wasn't laced with his cologne. Same as William's. Damn them. Get away from me. But he followed. Voice cutting through the downpour. Please. Let me explain. Wills. He's scared. Of this. Of us. Us. The word hung. Treacherous. I spun. Fists clenched. You don't get to say that. You don't know us. But even as I said it, doubt crept in. How many times had I caught William pulling away at intimacies, murmuring excuses, the cabin nights when he'd wake sweating from dreams he wouldn't share? Daniel sighed, raking wet hair back. Look, I'm not here to play games. Will's my twin half of me. When he bailed, I figured it'd be drinks, schmoozing. Not a confession. He paused, vulnerability cracking his tough guy facade. But Jordan, what you said about loving the man behind the blueprints, that's real. And Will feels it too. He's just buried under expectations. Expectations. The word landed like a punch. William's firm was old money, South Side roots polished to gold. His dad, Elias Ellis, a legend in black architecture circles, had built empires from redlined ruins. Pressure to be the golden son. Flawless. We ended up inside, huddled at a corner booth. The bar's jazz crooner warbling about lost loves. Daniel ordered whiskeys, neat, no ice, and slid one over. Truce, I glared, but took it, the burn steadying my spin. He talked then, words spilling like the rain outside. Born 6 minutes after William, Daniel had always been the shadow twin, the one who dropped out of college to hustle construction gigs, inking his skin with stories of the streets. Will got the degrees, the spotlight. I got the scars. He tugged his sleeve fully up, revealing the wrist mark. A bar fight at 19, defending their dad's honor from some drunk developer. William had been across the country at MIT, oblivious. Why cover for him? I asked, voice raw. Daniel shrugged, eyes distant. Family. And curiosity. He wouldn't shut up about you. Said you made him want to redesign his whole damn life. Heat flushed my cheeks. Anger, embarrassment, something perilously close to hope. But trust, shattered. I left him there with the tab, hailing a cab back to Wicker Park, the city lights blurring into accusations. The next morning, my phone exploded, 20 missed calls, half from William. Where are you? Daniel said. I silenced it, nursing coffee black as my mood. Work dragged, mocking up spreads on the Helix. Every photo of William a knife twist. By noon, he was at my door, soaked from the drizzle, eyes wild. Jordan, talk to me. I let him in, arms crossed like armor. He paced my cramped living room, words tumbling. The site's a mess. Permits delayed. Investors pulling out. Daniel was just helping, like always. I should have told you about the twin thing sooner. Stupid. Stupid. I echoed. Laugh hollow. I confessed to your brother, Will. Thought it was you. His face crumpled. That boyish vulnerability I adored. He closed the gap, hands framing my face. But it was me, in every way that matters. Every touch, every night, that was us. He kissed me then, desperate, tasting of rain and regret. I melted, traitor heart, pulling him to the couch. We didn't make love. It was too fragile. Just held on, his head on my chest, heartbeat sinking like a metronome. But Daniel lingered, a specter. William swore it was a one-off. He looks like me, but he's not me, yet I caught myself comparing. Daniel's laugh boomed. William's whispered. Daniel texted once. Awkward. Sorry for the mess. Will's lucky. I deleted it, but the seed was planted. Winter clamped down, snow blanketing the city in hush. The Helix groundbreaking was a spectacle, ribbon-cutting with the mayor, press swarming like pigeons. William shone, mic in hand, crediting partners in every sense. His eyes found mine in the crowd. Private promise. That night, we celebrated at his loft. Champagne bubbling, takeout tie scattered like confetti. To Bridges, he toasted, clinking glasses. But as we undressed, slow and savoring, his phone buzzed, Elias, demanding a family dinner. William tensed, the old shadow returning. Dad's on me about legacy. The firm's his baby. I'm just the heir. I traced his jaw. You're more than that. He nodded, but doubt flickered. We made love fiercely, reclaiming what the rain had stolen, bodies a tangle of need and forgiveness. Then came the holidays. William invited me to the cabin, just us, no ghosts. Door County glittered under frost, the lake a silver sheet. We chopped wood, breath fogging, and built fires that mirrored the one inside. One evening, snow falling soft, he opened up fully, about the divorce that wasn't his high school sweetheart, a cover for the truth he couldn't face. Coming out to Dad nearly killed us. He said, Ellis men build. They don't bend. Tears tracked his cheeks. I wiped them, heart aching. You bent toward me. That's strength. New Year's Eve, under a sky exploding with amateur fireworks. He got down on one knee. Not a ring, but a sketch. Our future home. A modest addition to his loft, with a rooftop garden for stargazing. Marry me to this life, Jordan. Let me build it with you. I said yes, the word a vow against the cold. But twins share more than blood. A week later, back in the city, Daniel showed up unannounced at the firm. Boots muddy from a site visit. Grin wide. Heard the news. Congrats, brother in spirit. William hugged him fierce, but I hung back, unease prickling. Over beers at a dive near the river, Daniel regaled us with tales, wilder than William's, laced with the grit of Foreman's life. You two are cute, he teased, winking. Like a matched set, William laughed it off, but his grip on my knee tightened. That night, alone, William confessed, Danny's always been the wild card. Jealous, maybe, of the path I took. But he's family. I nodded, but sleep evaded. Dreams mixing faces, hazel eyes watching from shadows. Spring thawed the ice, but not the undercurrents. The helix rose, a steel skeleton against the sky, mirroring our fragile scaffold. William dove deeper into work, sketches piling like unanswered letters. I'd find him at dawn, staring at the river, murmuring about cracks in the foundation. I'd pull him back to bed, our love a bomb, but the questions gnawed. Why the secrecy? And Daniel, why did his texts to William spike? Cryptic strings I glimpsed once. Need to talk. About us all. One April evening, after a gala where William schmoozed donors, we argued, him exhausted, me needy. You're slipping away, I accused. He snapped. This is my life. Jordan, the one you fell for. Door slam. Silence. I crashed at a friend's, waking to a voicemail. Daniel's voice. Urgent. Jordan, meet me. Coffee shop on Halsted. Will's in trouble. My stomach dropped. Trouble? The coffee shop on Halsted was a relic, Formica counters, percolators hissing like old men complaining about the weather. Daniel waited in a booth by the window, nursing black coffee, his work jacket slung over the seat. Dark circles under his eyes, that scar livid in the fluorescent glare. You came, he said, relief edging his tone. I slid in opposite, arms crossed. This better be good. After the rooftop fiasco, he nodded, fingers drumming the mug. It's Will. He's spiraling. The helix is gold, but Dad's piling on, wants him to take over the firm outright, marry some society girl for optics. Elias Ellis doesn't do bent legacies. I leaned in, pulse quickening. And you? Why tell me? Daniel's gaze dropped, vulnerability cracking his armor. Because you're good for him. Real. And because I saw it that night. Your heart on the line. Wish someone had looked at me like that once. The admission hung, heavy as the steam between us. Daniel's history unspooled then. Brief flings with women that fizzled. A confusion he buried in labor and liquor. I'm not like Will. Figured I was straight. But lately. Lines blur. He met my eyes. Something electric passing. I shifted. Uncomfortable. Loyal. This isn't about us. Help him. He did. In fragments. Over the next weeks, Daniel became our reluctant mediator, dragging William out for runs along the lake, forcing family dinners where Elias's barbs flew like shrapnel. A tag along, the outsider at the Ellis table, but their mom's old recipes, collards simmered slow, cornbread golden, wove a tentative warmth. Elias was a titan, silver-froed, voice booming with stories of desegregating drafting rooms in the 70s. But to his sons, he was a measuring stick, unyielding. William, the firm's not a hobby, he'd thunder. Daniel would deflect with jokes, but William internalized, shoulders bowing under the load. Our engagement deepened in stolen moments. William and I picked out rings, simple titanium bands, engraved with a helix twist. Nights blurred into poetry. Him reading Langston Hughes aloud, voice husky, me tracing his blueprints like love letters. But betrayal brewed, subtle as rebar rust. One evening, post-argument with Elias, William vanished into his study. I found him later, phone in hand, laughing low at a text. Danny, peaked, miss our talks. You're the only one who gets it. innocent, brotherly. But the scar on my memory ached. May brought bloom and fracture. The helix topped out, a ribbon of steel kissing the clouds. Celebration party at the firm. Jazz quartet, skyline views, champagne flutes clinking like wind chimes. William was magnetic, toasting partners, but his eyes sought mine across the room, anchor in the swell. Daniel cornered me by the bar, suit rumpled, tie askew. He's glowing because of you, he said, clapping my shoulder. His touch lingered a beat too long, warmth seeping. I pulled away, polite. Thanks. Means a lot, but his smile twisted, wistful. Ever wonder what if it had been me up there that night? I froze, words failing. Before I could respond, William swept in, arm around my waist. Stealing my man? Light, but edged. Daniel backed off, grin fading. Just toasting the future, mister. Hail Ellis. We laughed it away, but the seed sprouted thorns. That night, sated and tangled in sheets, William murmured confessions of his own. I used to switch with Danny, kid stuff, fool teachers, snag extra recess. But now, feels like he's slipping into my skin. Paranoia, I thought, kissing it quiet. Yet the next day, at work, an email from an intern, odd saw Mr. Ellis arguing with his brother at the site yesterday. Looked heated. I dismissed it, but unease coiled. June's heat wave mirrored the rising tension. William grew distant, sketches frantic, late nights morphing into overnights at the office. Deadlines, he'd say, pecking my cheek. Daniel filled the void, texts checking in. Will's buried, but he's fighting. One humid afternoon, he showed at my door with burgers from the corner joint, grease spotting the bag. Peace offering. For being the third wheel, we ate on my fire escape. City humming below, stories flowing easy. Daniel's life was grit poetry. Union battles, lovers lost to the grind. Will got the grace, he said, swigging beer. I got the fight. But you balance him. His knee brushed mine. Accidental, the air thickened, charged. I stood abrupt. I love him, Danny. That's the line. He nodded, eyes shadowed. I know. Just, if he breaks you, I'm here. The offer hung, temptation and trap. The breaking came swift, a storm without rain. Mid-July, I got a call from the firm, William missing a crucial meeting. Panic clawed. I raced to the loft empty, blueprints scattered like fallen leaves. His phone buzzed on the counter, Daniel's name. Voicemail. Will, pick up. Dad knows about Jordan. We need to talk. Knows? William had sworn secrecy till the wedding. I drove to the Helix site, steel skeleton looming like an accusation. There, in the shadow of girders, I found them, William and Daniel, foreheads nearly touching, voices low and urgent. You told him? William hissed. Daniel's back to me, posture defiant. He had to know. Will. Hiding's killing you. William's face twisted, betrayal raw. My life. My choice. Not yours to meddle. They hadn't seen me, but I saw the intimacy, twin bond or something more. Daniel's hand on William's arm, lingering. I backed away, heart fracturing. Betrayal? From which brother? Or both? Home that night, alone, I packed a bag, essentials, escape. William burst in at midnight, wild-eyed. Jordan, wait, Danny's full of shit. Dad cornered him. Not me. Lies? Truth? I confronted the texts. The switches. How many times? Will, how deep does this twin game go? He deflated, sinking to the floor. Never like that. But Danny. He's always been there, in the gaps. Jealous. Lost. Tears streaked his face. I love you. Only you. We clung. Desperate. But the crack widened. Days blurred into therapy sessions, couples counseling in a loop high-rise, air-conditioned confessions. The therapist, a no-nonsense dyke named Rita, probed, twins share a womb, but not a soul. Define your boundaries. William tried, vowing transparency. Daniel vanished, radio silence, a ghost. August scorched, the city a furnace. The wedding loomed small, lakeside, invites out. But doubt festered. One sweltering night, William asleep beside me, his phone lit. Danny, can't stay away. Meet at the cabin? For us? Heart pounding. I deleted it. Shame burning. Loyalty or lie. Then the climax. Labor Day weekend. Cabin bound for a pre-honeymoon reset. William drove. Hand in mine. Radio crooning Motown. Door County welcomed with goldenrod fields. Lake breeze a balm. We unpacked. Kissed slow on the porch. Fresh start, he whispered. I nodded, willing it true. But dusk brought the intruder. Headlights pierced the trees. Daniel's truck, gravel crunching. He stumbled out, bottle in hand, eyes red-rimmed. Will. Jordan. I couldn't. William bolted up, fury igniting. What the hell? Danny? We said space. Daniel swayed, words slurring. Space? You're erasing me. For this perfect life, perfect man. His gaze flicked to me, raw hunger. But I saw it first. That night on the roof. You looked at me like I was him. Like I could be more. William shoved him, brothers colliding. Get out. You're drunk. Delusional. Fists flew. Not hard, but enough to split lips, bruise egos. I pulled them apart, shouting, Stop. This isn't love. It's poison. Daniel crumpled, sobbing. I love you. Will. Always have. More than brother. The confession detonated. Incestuous shadow. Forbidden fracture. William recoiled, horror etching his face. No. God. No. Daniel fled into the night, truck roaring away. Silence crashed, heavier than waves. The cabin that night was a tomb, air thick with unspoken rot, the lake's lap outside a mocking lullaby. William paced the creaky floors, face ashen, hands trembling. It's not. He didn't mean, but the words died, truth too grotesque to voice. I sat on the edge of the bed, world splintering. Daniel's admission wasn't just a drunken ramble. It explained the shadows, the switches, the jealousy, the way he'd watch us with eyes too hungry. Twin love twisted into something darker. A bridge collapsed under its own weight. Will, I said softly, reaching for him. He jerked away, collapsing into a chair by the window. How long? Did you know? His head shook. Violent. Never. Swear it. He's my brother, my other half. But this, Christ, Jordan, it's sick. Tears carve tracks down his cheeks. The architect undone. I cross to him, kneeling, hands on his knees. Then we face it. Together. Get him help. Family doesn't mean enabling. He nodded, numb, pulling me into his lap. We held on till dawn, bodies a fragile dam against the flood. Morning broke gray, mist cloaking the bay. We drove back silent, Chicago's sprawl swallowing us whole. William called Daniel voicemail after voicemail. Talk to me. We fixed this. No reply. At home, he dove into work. Helix ribbon-cutting days away, using blueprints as shields. I tiptoed around eggshells, cooking his favorites, whispering affirmations. But betrayals echo lingered, not just Daniel's, but the lie of our perfect bubble. How much of William had I loved? The man, or the myth? Elias summoned us midweek. His South Side brownstone a fortress of polished oak and framed accolades. Over coffee strong as his convictions, William spilled, halting. Raw. Elias's face hardened, then softened, hand on his son's shoulder. Boys like you. We build walls to survive. But Danny, he's always chased your light, son. Time to let him find his own. No judgment, just weary wisdom. Therapy. For all of us. Elias turned to me, eyes appraising. You sticking. Jordan Hale? Ellis men are storms. I met his gaze. Storms pass. Love's the shelter. The intervention was brutal. We tracked Daniel to a dingy motel off Lake Shore Drive. Truck parked crooked. Curtains drawn. He answered shirtless, reeking of stale smoke, scar stark against bruised ribs from some bar brawl. Go away, he growled, but William pushed in, me flanking. The room was chaos. Empty bottles, sketches crumpled like confessions, blueprints of impossible homes, labeled for W and J. Danny. Please, William begged, voice breaking. Daniel sank to the bed, head in hands. I ruined it. You two so clean, so right. And me, the spare part, loving what I can't have. Hours bled into truths. Daniel's bisexuality buried young. Crushes on William morphing into obsession during their teens. Stolen glances. Shared beds that crossed lines once. Regretted forever. I stopped it, he whispered. But seeing you with Jordan. It woke the ghost. No abuse. Just confusion compounded by grief. Elias's absence after their mom's death. We listened. No interruptions. Rita's techniques guiding validate. Don't vilify. By nightfall, Daniel agreed. Rehab upstate. A month to unpack the tangle. Hugs were awkward. Tear-streaked. Forgive me? He asked me. Last. I nodded. Throat tight. We're all building. Danny. Start with yourself. William and I drove home emptied, but lighter. The wedding approached, scaled back. Intimate. We exchanged vows on a crisp September afternoon at Montrose Point. Lake waves crashing like applause. 30 guests. Firm colleagues. My Ohio cousins. Bless their progressive hearts. Elias beaming in a Kentcloth tie. Daniel sent a card from treatment. Building better. Love. Your shadow. No return yet. But hope's mortar. Fall deepened. Leaves carpeting the parks in crimson confessions. The helix opened to fanfare. pedestrians streaming across its spiral, connecting shores. William's speech was poetry. Bridges aren't perfect. They weather storms, bear weights unforeseen. But they hold if we choose. His eyes found mine in the throng, vow renewed. That night, rooftop reception under strings of lights, we danced slow to Coltrane, city hours. But humanism's not tidy arcs. Daniel returned in November, gaunt but steady, 6 weeks sober. First meet was at a neutral diner, neutral ground. He slid into the booth, smile tentative. "Missed you idiots." William teared up, hugging fierce. I joined, the three of us a knot of forgiveness. Over pie, he shared progress, therapy revelations, a new gig consulting on sustainable builds. Turns out, I'm good at foundations. No romance lingered in his eyes for me, just gratitude. For William, the brother bond mended, boundaries etched clear. Yet conflict simmered elsewhere. Elias's health faltered, prostate scare, the big C word hovering. Firm politics churned. Rivals whispered about William's distractions. He leaned on us both, Daniel for grit, me for grace. Holiday dinner at the Brownstone was a milestone. Toasts to resilience, laughter echoing off walls that once held silence. Winter's grip loosened into spring, our first anniversary marked by a trip back to Door County. The cabin stood sentinel, scars weathered. We rebuilt, literally, adding that rooftop garden from his sketch. Daniel's crew handling the heavy lift. One evening, beers cracked around a fire pit. Daniel raised a bottle. To twins, and the man who saw through the mirror. We clinked, stars wheeling above. But romance's flame needs tending. William and I hit ruts, his travel for conferences, my freelance gigs drying up. Arguments flared. You're always gone. I'm providing. Sex became rote, then rare. Daniel noticed, pulling me aside one site visit. Talk to him. Don't let pride build walls. Advice from the reformed betrayer. Ironic. Healing. Climax revisited in subtle guise. Summer solstice. A firm retreat in the Shawnee Forest, team building amid oaks and creeks. Bonfire night. Truths in the flicker. William confessed burnout. The architect's mask cracking. I fear I'm not enough for you. For Dad. For this life. I held him, whispering, "You're the blueprint." Daniel, across the flames, nodded silent ally. Betrayal's ghost? It whispered in doubts. But we exorcised with vulnerability. Couples therapy continued, now with laughs amid tears. Daniel dated, a barista with tattoos and tolerance, proving love's multiplicity. By fall's turn, the Helix won awards, William's name etched in stone. Our home, that loft addition, bloomed, herbs thriving, city views framing sunsets. One night, tangled anew, he traced my ring. Thank you for staying. For seeing me, all of me. I smiled, heart full. Twins or not, you're one of a kind. Yet stories don't end neat. Life's a draft, revisions ongoing. As leaves fell like spent promises, Elias's decline accelerated, chemo sapping his boom to a rasp. We rallied, William at his bedside, sketching hospital hacks to ease the sterile chill, Daniel hauling in home-cooked meals, their mom's recipes a tether to vitality. I played scribe, interviewing Elias for a skyline feature, his legacy, from redline blueprints to rainbow coalitions in design. Love's the ultimate structure, he croaked one afternoon, hand squeezing mine. Bends, but doesn't break. His eyes twinkled, approval for his son's choice. Elias passed in December, snow muffling the world's grief. Funeral at a Southside church. Pews packed with admirers, black architects who'd followed his trail. Eulogies flowed. William's poised, poetic. Daniel's raw, roaring. Dad built us to weather anything, he said, voice cracking. Even our screw-ups. At the repast, brothers leaned on each other, then me, the triad forged in fire. That night, snow blanketing the cemetery, William and I walked arm in arm, Daniel trailing. He'd have loved this, William murmured. Us. Whole. Grief's alchemy turned to gold. William stepped up as firm head, infusing Elias's vision with his own, affordable housing pods for queer youth, bridges literal and figurative. Daniel partnered in, his street smarts grounding the dreams. I chronicled it all, my byline gaining traction, from shadows to spans, the Ellis legacy reimagined. Romance reignited in quiet revolutions. Winter dates, ice skating at Millennium Park, mittened hands, laughter echoing off-beat reflections. Spring brought a surprise, William's gift. A weekend in New York, sketching skyline twins, the buildings. He joked. Hotel nights were rediscovery, slow explorations, whispers of futures. Kids? He mused one dawn, tracing my abdomen. Adopted, maybe. Little architects, I grinned. With your eyes. My sarcasm. Daniel's arc humanized further. His barista boyfriend, Marco, tattooed Cuban firecracker, joined our circle, dinners lively with bilingual banter. One barbecue, beers flowing, Daniel pulled me aside. That rooftop, best mistake. Led me here to clarity. He hugged me, brotherly now, pure. Betrayal's scar faded to lesson. Love's not possession, but permission to grow. Climax's echo came in July heat, a firm crisis. Investor pullout on the youth project, whispers of scandal from Elias's old rivals. William buckled, old pressures mounting. What if I fail them? He confessed. Loft dark but for desk lamp. Daniel and I ambushed with takeout, strategy session turning therapy. You're not Dad, Daniel said. Your will better, I added, and ours. We carry the load. By dawn. A plan crowdfunding pitch. My words. Their vision. It soared donations from queer communities nationwide. A testament to shared spans. Fall wedding anniversary. We renewed vows on the helix itself, dusk gilding the steel. Daniel officiated, Marco beaming ringside. In Bridges and Brothers, he intoned, we find home, kisses sealed it, city applauding below. But humanism whispers tragedy's shadow. Winter brought Marco's diagnosis, rare lymphoma, aggressive. Daniel shattered, the fighter floored. We circled wagons, hospital vigils, my article's fundraisers. William designed a healing garden at the med center, oaks for strength, paths for wandering. Marco fought fierce, but by spring, peace came gentle. His passing left Daniel adrift, but not alone. Memorial under those oaks. He spoke, love like Marco's? It echoes. Builds on. William and I held him through it, our bond the steady arch. Daniel healed slow therapy, travel, a solo exhibit of his ink and steel art. From Twin to Singular, he titled it. We attended opening night, gallery buzzing, his scar now a signature flourish. 2 years post-confession, Chicago thrummed unchanged, windswept, wondrous. William and I adopted little Theo, with hazel flecks and boundless curiosity. Mornings, pancake sticky, sketches on fridge. Daniel uncled with gusto, spoiling with toolkits and tales. One rooftop evening, same bar, sans rain we toasted. To wrong turns, William said, arm around me. Daniel clinked, that made the right path. I looked between them. Mirrors mended, souls distinct. Love's not a straight line, but a helix, twists, tensions, triumphs. We'd confessed, frozen, thought, betrayed, forgiven, built. In the end, that's the American dream, not perfection, but persistence. Hearts bridging gaps, one imperfect span at a time.